welcome to my channel. My name is Doug and I'm back with another fountain pen review. Today's review is of my third Ranga fountain pen, the Ranga Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu.
Hamburger.
Abhimanyu? Abby something.
Abby someone. Abby someone. Abby who? Abby normal. Abby normal.
I think loosely translated, it stands for, the hell's that?
What the hell's that?
I had never heard of this particular model of Ranga before. It isn't listed on their website, and I only discovered it from a posting on the Ranga Facebook page as a group buy offer. The finish that was pictured on the posting was this incredibly gorgeous acrylic called Chestnut. Well, I just had to have one, especially to find out if those photos were anywhere near the reality of this material. And the shape of the pen is also very unique. So I ordered it right away with a Jowo broad steel nib. This is my first acrylic from Ranga, and if this pen is any example of the beauty of their other acrylics, it won't be my last. I'm anxious to show off the details of this pen that I've been writing with constantly for the last month, right now. So it's another new pen day here today, and I recently did a review of my Ranga Model 3C Ebonite, and I was so thrilled with this pen. I got it on a group discount group buy on the Ranga Facebook page, and I'm just so thrilled with this pen that when the next one came up for a model that I had never seen before, I went out and ordered one immediately, and it has arrived. It's very quick. Considering the backlog of traffic around the world today, this came in about 10 days from India. And again, it's wrapped up in some linen, and so I'm going to fast forward and do an unlinening with my scissors.
Oh, good grief. I had a little trouble with the scissors.
Just like doing surgery. And the linen comes off, and we have the latest headlines in Variety, newsprint. Again, environmentally friendly. And we have the box. Again, foil stamped with Ranga pens. It's a nice sturdy cardboard box, which has a snap front. We open it up, and the inside says Ranga handmade pens and Mr. Camden's email address. And again, we have a couple of pens. This is another one of these free pens they give away with an eyedropper. It's a little piston filler. It's an Oliver 100% steel. But this is what we're here for. Very well wrapped pen. And there's the pen. This is called Chestnut. And this is an Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And just look at that chatoyance. This is my first acrylic Ranga. And that is fabulous. Beautiful acrylic. Reminds me of Pen BBS Tootsie a little bit. And there is the number 6 size nib. Got a little condensation on it. No markings at all. It is a Jowo. The pen does post. Makes it very long, but that cap weighs nothing. And it has been tested. You can tell from the condensation. The Ranga Abhimanyu. And today is the 3rd of December. So I said it was about 10 days. It's actually only took 4 days to get here. And here is his card. And what I'd like to do today is go over the parts and features of this pen, show some size comparisons, some measurements, and then provide a writing sample. After the writing sample, please stay tuned as I will talk about what I like and what I don't like so much about this fountain pen. Overall, the pen is short but girthy, with matching conical finials, and although the cap and barrel are joined almost at the center, they have slightly different tapers between the cap and the barrel. And this chestnut acrylic is to die for. It looks like the pouring of a Guinness or A&W root beer, whatever your taste may be. Isn't that gorgeous? The dark side and a light side. It is highly polished and very chatoyant and deep. From the top, we see the conical finial. There is no clip, but I've added this El Cheapo adjustable snake ring as a roll stop, and I think it really complements the pen. The cap tapers up and then back down again to the cap edge, which is very nicely rounded. The barrel starts with the same rounded edge, which gives an interesting center groove to the entire pen. The barrel tapers away towards the conical end finial. The tapers are really nice and smooth, but you can tell that these are hand-turned as there are slight variations all the way up and down. You can't see them. This is not a defect. This is where you can tell that your pen is uniquely and individually made from the hands of a master. The cap unscrews with slightly under a full turn, which seems to be a common feature among Rangas. Very nice. To reveal a most unique section of the same beautiful acrylic. The cap threads here are smooth, and the section tapers towards a large smooth step up towards the number 6 size Jowo steel broad nib with a black plastic feed. Let's look closer at the nib. It is a stock Jowo number 6 with nothing but the stock Jowo border and the nib size stamped into the shoulder, B for broad. And the nib and feed are part of a nib assembly that unscrews very easily for easy replacement or maintenance. The section unscrews with many turns to reveal a Schmidt Standard International cartridge converter, and this pen will also accept Standard International short cartridges, although you can't piggyback the extra in the barrel as it's too short. You can also eyedropper this pen, which gives it a huge 3.6 milliliter capacity. The extra turns on the section threads help seal the pen from leaks. Ranga applied a liberal amount of silicone grease to these threads. I wiped some of it clean as I'm using the converter instead. The inside of the cap shows a step milled into it that should meet up with the section to seal the nib. Unfortunately, the section and that step don't meet, as you can see through the semi-translucent acrylic. The cap posts, not deeply, but fairly securely, and does unbalance the pen even though the cap is very light. Even without the snake, it back weights that pen. I prefer to write with the pen unposted as it is plenty long enough and nicely balanced in the hand. And that nice long section with those smooth threads, there's lots of places in which you can grip the pen. I bought this pen directly from Ranga as part of a group buy for $64 US plus $19 US shipping. The group buy is a really great thing. If you're interested in Ranga, make sure you join the Ranga Facebook group, as MP Candon continues to post group buy opportunities there. Although it seems complicated at first, once you get the hang of it, it's really quite easy. They do their ordering through Google Documents. You click on the link and it opens a document where you can put your email address in, and then you make your choices, moving from page to page and selecting options. As you can see, the Abhimanyu comes in a huge range of finishes, from ebonite and premium ebonite to acrylic and premium acrylic, and you can have them polished or matte. And then you have a huge array of nib options from the brands Ranga, Bach, Jowo, and Schmidt. So there are literally hundreds of nib options, from fine to broad or a stub, from steel in black and red and gold or chrome, or even titanium or 18 karat gold in some models, and up to a number 8 size nib. I don't know of any other pens that have so many options for finishes and nibs than Ranga's. Now let's look at some size comparisons. And here is the Ranga Abhimanyu with a Ranga Model 3C in red ebonite, a Ranga Model 4C in black ebonite, a Pen BBS 323 in amber, and a Pilot Metropolitan for scale. Now let's look at them posted. And here they are posted. Well, the 323 doesn't post at all. And you can see the distinct difference between the Abhimanyu section and the sections on the Model 3C and 4C. Now let's look at some measurements, and I'll be back with a writing sample. And we're back with the writing portion of the review. This is Clairefontaine 90 GSM paper, and this is the Ranga Abhimanyu. So I'm probably butchering that. I'm going to call it Abhimanyu. Feel free to correct me. And it is in Chestnut, acrylic with a broad steel nib. Let's check the wetness. This nib is plenty wet, like all three of my Rangas. The nib is smooth as silk with that touch of feedback on the paper. Hear that? It's very nice. And the ink today is diamine, ancient, copper. Here's some close matches to this ink from inkswatch.com. I think this ink is a perfect match for this pen. And this ink just keeps on being a winner in so many pens. This one especially. This is where ancient copper shines, when you have a nib that lays down a beautiful, wet line of ink that dries slowly. On this Clairefontaine, it's really delicious. The shading is beyond description. I know this camera is not picking up the subtlety of this ink. As to line variation, well, it's a very stiff nib, and it's already a fairly broad line, so you're not going to get much line variation at all. In fact, this line is 0.7 millimeters in thickness, which makes it a Western medium to broad, or a Japanese, almost a Japanese broad. No offense. And for our quote. And for some reverse writing. Well, that's very scratchy, and it dries up very quickly. And some quick writing. No issues whatsoever keeping up. Now I have to say that I've experienced some skipping on some of the downstrokes, which is indicative of baby's bottom. And that's not unusual with broad nibs. My Ranga 4C is a broad as well, and it has had some baby's bottom skipping on this nib as well. It comes from a slight over polishing of the nib that makes the nib look like a baby's butt. And let me see if I can draw a baby's butt for you over here. So here is the nib point on, and it has this kind of a curlicue on the bottom of it from over polishing. There's the nib slit, and when you draw on the paper, there's that little gap right in there where the ink won't touch the paper, and you get a skip. I've solved the issue on other pens with the same problem fairly easily in the past, and I was going to do it as part of this video, but a little do-it-yourself lesson gets lost in a video review, so I'm going to post it as a separate video to this. So watch for that. It will be a shorty.
Hello there.
Get out of it, Shorty.
So what do I like and what do I not like about this fountain pen? Well, I absolutely adore this fountain pen. The acrylic resin is just gorgeous, and the way it feels in the hand with this girthy body in your palm, and that long, comfortable section, and that big, beautiful Jowo No. 6 broad nib. Just wonderful. I inked this pen on December 5th and have been writing with it constantly ever since. I filled the converter with ancient copper three times now. I noticed when I was doing the parts and features that I had run out again. So I just filled it before doing the writing sample. So that's 3 times since December 5th. And my little cheapo snake ring roll stop works like a charm. Snake, charm, snake charm. I almost had a joke there, son.
You gotta keep your eye on the ball. Eyeball. Eyeball. I almost had a gag, son. Joke, that is.
Plus, it adds a little to the pen to make it my own. Do I have any negatives at all about this pen? Well, yeah, a touch of baby's bottom, yes, but that's not unique to this pen. And I do wish Ranga would be able to actually brand Ranga into the nib. It just looks so generic like that. But seriously, the pen writes and writes beautifully and is awesome in the hand. And even posted when needed. A little long, but in a pinch, it works. And if you don't like this color, spend an hour. Spend 3 hours looking through their catalog of ebonite and acrylics. Then, when and if you can land on just one you love, try and figure out which nib to get. Jowo, Bach, Ranga, Schmidt, steel, gold, titanium. And what about a red nib or a black nib? And what about an all-red ebonite pen with a red nib and a red feed? Mr. Candon can do almost anything for you. And what about the price? This pen cost me $106 Canadian all in. This Chinese Schaefer Icon cost me $120 Canadian before tax. Let's put it this way. I'll be avoiding the Ranga Facebook page for a while until I can get past the bills from this lucrative gift-giving season.
I'm poor.
And there you have it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell to get instant notifications whenever a new video is posted. And don't forget that you can join as a member of my channel as well for only 99 cents a month, and I guarantee I will answer your comments in the comment section, and you'll get cool emojis and badges too. And that just leaves it for me to say, thank you for watching. And that's all she wrote.
I made this.